Legend tales of a place where the booze flows freely and the stories are always entertaining. If you were bold enough to seek out such a place, head 13 miles down the Tuscan Highway to a tiny blues joint known as the Townsmith Tavern. Once there, enjoy the ride. Ladies and gentlemen, you are listening to a UA production of Beer, Blues, and Bowl.
Excuse me, you can't say that. You're gonna lose your family-friendly rating. You're gonna corrupt the kids.
BS! A podcast that invites you to grab a cold beverage, pull up a seat, and enjoy time with friends. And here are your hosts, Howard Blues and the Mark Kidder.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Beer, Blues, and BS, the podcast in search of good times and good news with good friends. You just can't lose. I'm your host, Howard Blues, here, as always, with my co-host, the man, the myth, the legend, the Mark Kidder. Kidder, how you doing tonight?
Hey, doing great, and almost the place for these great oldies too. You know, good times, good places, good oldies. We could play a radio jingle to that too, but that's the competitors, probably. So we won't do that on this show. But I'm doing great. Glad to be here. Fantastic Friday. Some, of course, big news we're going to get to in the show is, well, a few different things. Of course, we have our What's on Tap. We have a story carried over from last week. We ran out of time, so Jaco is going to bring us some good times with that story. Well, at least we hope. Also, Boxgate continues! Dun, dun, dun. And what else do we have? Oh, yeah, that thing they called a pay-per-view that happened last week. So we'll end up talking about that. The NHL draft is going on. So we got a little bit of some of that, some hockey news. But the biggest thing of all this week, the local geek joins us once again. That is right, Triple B Brewmaster himself, the local geek. Welcome back to the show a third time. The first three-timer on the Triple B, so you get the Triple B trifecta crown.
Awesome.
What? It's not? Why are you shaking your head? Who else has been on three times aside from us?
Rude Boy Kyle. Episode 5,
suppose...
episode 13, and episode 9.
Well, we never promised him a trophy, so if we give local geek a trophy, then that works as the first time, right?
You know.
All right.
If Rude Boy Kyle watches this and wants to contest it, sure. But until then, yeah.
Howard the ref can make the ruling.
Yeah,
oh, God.
Exactly.
Help us all. There's going to be some shenanigans. Oh, it's going to be great. So let's get right into it. What is on tap? I think everyone watching this may have an answer or perhaps know the answer for this, but we want to share this wonderful, wonderful tasty beverage with the masses, and the one who can tell us all about it, again, quick recap for everybody who has no idea what the hell we're talking about. Local geek, Brewmaster of the Triple B, fill them in. Tell us what the hell's happening.
Well, we've got this Scottish ale that we brewed up with Howie and Mark here a little over a month ago now. So, got that all finished up, bottled, carbonated in the bottles. I gave it the name Bril Grease, which is a bagpiping term.
I.e.
So, I was originally thinking something along the lines of a kilt because it's Scottish, but I couldn't find something that wasn't already in use. So, I switched over and started searching for unusual bagpiping terms and came up with Bril Grease. I was like, that'd be an all right name for a beer.
That is definitely an all right name for a beer. And it's not only a beer, it is the first beer brewed on the Triple B. So
That it is.
Another first. This time it might actually be a first though. So
Yeah.
Again, quick recap on what the tasting notes on this. What aroma and then the tastiness are we gonna have when we take a sip?
It's got a little bit of the maltiness that you typically see in a Scottish. It's got it's a little more bitter than I actually was shooting for, but it's not a IPA bitter by any means.
Good.
And then just a hint of smokiness. You almost have to be looking for it to taste it.
Okay. Sounds good to me. So without further ado, how about we give this bad boy a wonderful sniff and a taste here. So cheers to our brewmaster, the local geek. We just cheersed. I know you couldn't see it because I've been flapping my gums here, but it is a nice. I smell a little bit of the smoky texture that you're talking about there, the scent of the smokiness. A little carameliness, and yeah, gonna be good.
He didn't spit it back all over the screen, so it must be all right.
Well, Howie hasn't opened his yet, but I will say that is some very, very nice tasting notes right there. Good job, local geek again. That's why you're the brewmaster of the Triple B. There it is. Good job. Fantastic.
Yeah. I was going to say, I haven't opened mine, but guys, I am prepared this time to open the beer. I actually have a glass, so hey, we're good there.
There's step one.
I have an opener.
All right,
so
step
we're good
two.
there. I have a roll of paper towels. So
That was going to be a suggestion after the last one.
yeah. But I have more. I went out and I bought a poncho. So let's break this out. For anybody who doesn't know, if you go back and watch episode 12 of the show, you'll know why the poncho is needed.
This is great. He looks like a Smurf. Oh man, we should have got you. We should have got you a bow to put on top of that.
Oh, get her! It gets better because again, being prepared.
Oh god, maybe you got the glasses with the windshield wipers on.
That'd be great.
That would be awesome. Oh, he's humming.
Oh, he's got goggles.
We have some lovely goggles here.
Hulkamania
Okay.
is running wild on this rain poncho, brother. Listen here, dude.
Yeah,
He
let's
can't even
okay.
see. He can't even see what the hell. Oh, this is great. This is classic Triple B right here. No, he can't even see where he put the glass. I can't. Are those tanning goggles?
Actually, because we've been packing up the house, because we are T-minus 7 days from the move, the only swim goggles I could find are a pair of Junior's infant-sized goggles. So these things are pretty small, and like my eyeballs are right up on the lens. So this will be interesting. But here we go. Let's see how this. Minimum.
Holy crap. Say something.
It's got a nice head. Glad I wore the
I gotta
poncho.
mute myself because I'm gonna laugh too much, and I want everybody to see this because this is great. This is Triple B gold.
Yeah. So hey, you know what? It's not spraying up. I'm gonna call this a victory. Woohoo! So, it tastes good for the little bit that I've had so far.
So I have to ask, Mark, did you warn him or no?
I did. I was a nice friend. I did.
I was a little disappointed. I tried to leave an Easter egg in there for you when you went back and did the behind the curtain when you went upstairs to get a beer earlier. I mentioned something about how you may or may not know that the beer was overcarbonated, but you hadn't started the recording yet.
Yeah, no, Kidder, all Kidder really told me was that I got a bit of an issue here going. Stop it.
Put your finger in the thing again so that it sprays all over. It was great. So what you could not see the last time, why the poncho is necessary, because Local Geek and I were laughing too much, so it was flipping between us, but you couldn't see that poor bastard over there. He's holding the bottle like this, and he's got his fingers shoved in the top, trying to stop and it's spraying her out, just covering him. It's probably still on the ceiling for all we know, but gosh,
I won't go on the record because I've already sold my place, and I don't think I disclosed beer spray all over on the disclosure sheet. So, but I am glad I wore the poncho though. It worked out. This plan worked out. Best dollar spent for a cheap poncho.
$1.
$1, Bob.
That's
$1.
great.
So what happened here with this one is when you remember when we brewed it, we ended up getting 4 gallons instead of 5.
Right.
And so when I went to put the priming sugar in to carbonate the bottles, I forgot to recalculate it for 4 gallons. I just had already calculated for 5 ahead of time. So there's 20% more carbonation in there than there should be.
Awesome. Giving it the go right there. That's fantastic.
Yeah, no, it's good. I'm enjoying this. Of course, I've said I'm very much like you, Derek. I enjoy a good dark beer. So, all joking aside, this is tasty, and I'm glad I have a second one sitting up here. Hence, also why I'm not removing the poncho, because that one will probably be a bit warmer and therefore a bit angrier when we get there.
Yes, the colder they are, the less angry they are.
Yes.
I had a few of these out at a family reunion last weekend, and when we cracked them open, they almost immediately started volcanoing out the top. And so you have your red Solo cup underneath the bottle and just let it flow down the bottle into the cup.
Celebrate good beer today. Absolutely. Celebration. Good job on crafting this tasty beverage.
Thank you.
Yeah. And, Derek, you and I were talking a bit while we were waiting for Kidder. If people and fans of the Triple B want to follow more of you and your brewing process, you now have a Facebook group that people can go and join and kind of follow in your process. So I want to give you a chance to shout that out. And of course, I'll include a link in the show notes. But feel free to.
I decided to create that so that when I have brew days, I typically post pictures on my Facebook feed, and I got to thinking more and more about it. I was like, not everybody on my Facebook probably cares. So I created a separate page where I'll post that stuff, and it'll kind of be like a brew journal too for me to keep track of approximately when I brewed something. And anybody who is on my friends list or even not on my friends list that wants to follow that, they're more than welcome to and keep up with what I'm doing. It's called Derek's Homebrew Adventures.
I'd like to throw out that I believe the people who do not want to care about it just shouldn't be your friends. Let's just be honest. You don't need that sort of negativity in your life. Okay.
True.
Trying to help you.
Then I was also telling Chris before the show that my next brew I'm thinking I'm going to do an Imperial Stout, just because I've always wanted to brew one of the big high alcohol beers, just to say I've done it. They're not something I typically drink because I typically go for something that I can go and have a couple of before I need to stop. But I'm going to shoot for like an 11 to 12% on that so that I can say I went big. I've done it.
I like it. Got to make it happen. It's going to be be good. And maybe if we're lucky, you'll share another sample of that. We'll have you on the show for the 4th time. And potentially then you'll be the first 4th time guest that we've had.
There we go.
You'll have another trophy under your trophy cabinet. You're gonna have to.
I just want to
clear
know
some
where we're
space.
getting this. Where are we getting this budget for trophies? I mean, that's what I want to know.
Well, first of all, we never specified on what kind of trophy it is. So think outside the beer, Jaco.
I see. So
Money-saving options.
no, you know, at my work recently, our executive director was gone for a couple of days, and our admin staff was clearing out our mailroom. And for some reason, we had a box of volleyball trophies, and they decided that our executive director's office was a bit empty, so they placed all these trophies on his shelf in a loving precision that makes it look like he is some sort of great volleyball champion. He was pretty proud of his achievements once he returned. So,
are you saying
yeah.
we can borrow some of those for?
I don't think he's giving them up. At this point, I think the best we could do is I can send Derek a JPEG of the beer trophy we created for episode 15. So
It's very, very good. Very
yeah.
good. If we can, here, I'm gonna hand you the trophy. Wonderful. I'm glad we did this. Hey, you can see.
I can. Those things were fogging up. It was yeah.
Oh my gosh, this is great. And I was trying. He can't get them off his head. They're just stuck on your head.
They were stuck on the poncho, actually.
So is the poncho now a permanent fixture for this episode?
Well, as I said, I have a second beer, so at some point
That's
I'm
true.
gonna have to open that up.
Okay.
So
Very good.
gonna have to be prepared for that and such. Gonna have to figure out where I put my glasses and all of that.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, there they are. For a second, I thought we were just going off the rails, and we've only been doing this for like 10 minutes. It wouldn't be the first time. Let's put it that way. So,
Or the last.
you think you're doing the or the last time? That's for sure. Imperial Stout for the next one. What's your timetable on firing up the old cauldron outside and getting another one of these rolling?
I haven't set up a brew day yet, but I'm thinking in the next 3 to 4 weeks, I'm going to try to shoot for doing that. And then that one's gonna take a little longer to finish out because I'm gonna do a secondary ferment on that one to kind of help clarify it, and just because it's such a big beer, it's probably gonna need to ferment a little longer anyway. And then those ones typically are better if you let them sit and age for a little bit in the bottles before you open them. So
Awesome.
it'll be a winter drinker, but it'll be quote unquote ready probably by September, October.
I like your thinking, like your timetable. Sounds good to me. Awesome. Thanks again for sharing that with us. And for those people who didn't catch it the first time or too lazy to go to the show notes, what's your Facebook group again?
Derek's Homebrewing Adventures.
Make sure you check that out because, damn it, everybody needs a good adventure and everybody needs to see a good homebrew in action. So, fantastic. And, of course, you could check out the previous episode of this program, Beer Blues BS, of the Homebrew on location. So, yeah, wonderful. You want to stick around for a couple minutes? Hear a good story from Jacob about something? He's got a couple stories, so I'm curious. I don't know what they're about.
Yeah, I'll stick around for about another 15 minutes or so.
On the clock.
Gotta get going.
Jake's on the clock.
Oh, that's never good. Yeah, I was going to talk about this last week, and we just didn't get to it. But Kidder and Derek, you both know my wife, Lefty. And I have to tell you, my wife is a little bit of a perfectionist. Doesn't do anything wrong ever. So very much consistent of being perfect in all of those sorts of things. In fact, when she was learning, when she was growing up, they had a tree growing in their yard that was crooked. And when she learned to drive, she realized that the car was a perfect vehicle to straighten said tree. And after colliding into it, it grew straight after that. So that I say all as a great lead-in to talk about, because it came up at my work last week. I thought it was a good thing to maybe talk about, Kidder, is driver's ed stories. Because I don't know about you, but I got some driver's ed stories. So
Okay.
and also as a disclaimer, I did get permission to tell that joke from my wife before I started that.
That's good, because you'll be here next week. Then it won't be your last week on Triple B. Well, folks, 20 episodes. Thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Yeah. So I don't know about you guys. I did my driver's ed down in South Dakota, and the class stuff was fine. But my dad had me on a riding lawnmower as soon as he thought I was able to. And I mean, he duct taped the wood blocks to it so that I could reach the pedals. So driving that, helping him back up, trucks and trailers growing up, and then driving practice and all of that, learning to drive a stick with him. So when I got to the driving portion of driver's ed, I was pretty confident. I had enough time behind the wheel. And I got partnered with a guy who it was his first time behind the wheel, and it was scary. When it was my turn to drive, the instructor was always things like, when we pulled on the interstate, he's like, "All right, take it up to 75 and take me to Kmart. I got to pick up some diapers for the kid." Okay. When the other guy would get behind the wheel, it was, "Okay, you're not allowed to go faster than 45 miles per hour and stay in this lane." Just didn't trust him. I spent most of my time in the back seat, fingers crossed, eyes closed, going, "Please don't kill me, please don't kill me," because he was terrible. And during the actual test portion of this driver's ed, the kid changed lanes without signaling or looking, just changed a lane, ran a stop sign, and then at another stop sign, it was a right-hand turn that he was making, and he just never turned the wheel back, and we drove that car right up onto somebody's lawn. And so it was a terrible test. And we drop him off at the end of it at his house, and the instructor turns to me and goes, "So, would you pass him?" And I'm like, "No, wouldn't do it." And that, after that, I drove home, and that was that. That next school year, this kid comes running up to me right away. He's like, Hey, did you pass your driver's test?" I'm like, "Yeah, of course I passed my driver's test. Not a problem." He's like, "I did too." And I'm like, "What?" He goes, "Yeah, it's been great. I've been practicing all summer. And I almost put my dad's car in the river, but only one time." And I'm like, "Wait, you almost put your dad's car in the river?" He goes, "Yeah, he let me drive it to the car wash. And I got out. I forgot to put it in park. And so as I hopped out, the car started rolling towards the river, and I had to run and hop back in it and step on the brake before it's at the bottom."
What a maroon.
Oh, it was a great thing for me to, after that, go, any worrying I might have had about passing my driver's test, I clearly didn't need.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Well, we'll let our guest go next, because I know that he's got to roll himself pretty quick. So any fun stories about you that you ran into or in your driving group?
I really can't think of a lot of my own personal ones. I didn't do the traditional driver's ed. I just did the test for my learner's permit, and then did my learning with my parents. But I do have a good story about my brother when he already had his license by this point, and he had a habit of anytime there was a puddle in the road, he would swerve and go hit it. And so he saw this nice puddle over by Tyler Parkway in Bismarck, by the McDonald's there, and he nailed that sucker. Went partway through it and stalled his car out in the middle of it. So he had to wade back out because he couldn't get it to turn back on, and him and his friends he was with had to push the car over to McDonald's and let it sit overnight.
Oh my gosh. We had a couple of those experiences leaving CHS right out there. You always called my car at the time the 1987 Chevy Celebrity Eurosport, primer gray, painted myself after I sanded it myself. Thank you very much. You would always call it the car that could defy gravity, because we'd take turns, curves, corners, whatever the case may be, through puddles, snowbanks, everything, and the water would be going the opposite direction you would assume that it would be going from a puddle out from a car. It'd be like, nope, this way. Just completely backwards for no apparent reason. And then, of course, driving sideways down your snowy street.
Absolutely. That one's a favorite, and I knew it was going to come back up when you started talking about driving stories.
Yeah, I mean, that was all just like a 4-month span, I think.
Probably.
That was good. But going back to my days of behind the wheel and the class, I never had any problems with the class. I had been driving on gravel and whatnot from a young age, because out in the middle of nowhere, you can go slow on the gravel and do some testing to see how vehicles work and all of that. So I wasn't nervous at all getting behind the wheel of a car at that point. And by the time driver's ed came around, pretty much just snoozing through the class because everything was just straightforward. The actual behind the wheel part, I think I had 2 other people in my group, because it was 3 of us and an instructor, and we would have to meet up and go out on these rounds for like 3-4 hours. And kind of like what Jake was saying with his group, is the instructor, who is one of my middle school teachers at the time, was comfortable with me driving. The other 2, usually, but not always. So one instance was the driving and backing. So we went to the middle school parking lot, set up the cones to slalom through forward and then back around. I got to go first, so I'm like, oh yeah, back, done, park, out. Okay, done. Next, hop in. All right, so I'm in the back. Okay. Mirrors and okay. Are you ready? Okay. And I'm like, okay. Can I just go home? Drive. Go. Oh, we're coming up on the 3rd cone. Okay. Okay, we're here. Okay, back up. What? Yeah, you got to back up too. Back up. I'm like, just let me out of the car. Back up. Not gonna make it. That cone's screwed, and we're not going back. And there's a cone there too. Oh, and it's under the car. Okay, back. There's a 3rd cone there. Well, not anymore, because that's with the 2nd and 1st cones underneath the wheel well of the car. All right, this 5-minute experience is over. And we're pulling the cone out from the front wheel well with the other two underneath the drive shaft. You drive forward, we gotta take the cone out from this part because it's stuck. Yep. All right, stop. Yeah. That was one day.
Yeah. See, and when we did our reverse day, our instructor couldn't find a parking lot in which that he felt comfortable with us doing reverse. So he took us out to one of his friends' places who had this huge driveway. They set up cones, and we did our reverse on a riding lawnmower. And so that's part of why I brought up years experience riding lawnmower. But so yeah, we were doing figure eights in reverse on the riding lawnmower as he's sitting there talking to his, friend. And I'm just sitting there going around. He eventually comes over and kicks the gear, and so it's a higher speed. And I'm just I didn't panic. I'm just like, okay. Oh. And yeah, same thing. And then like the other guy comes in and he's just hitting cones and all of that. And it's just like, oh boy. So speaking
they did
of
not have the mowing blade engaged, right? Or was he actually
correct.
having to mow the guy's lawn? Oh, okay.
Yeah, no mowing. Kidder, I was going to tell you this one, and I'll share a photo here in a sec. So I drive a state fleet vehicle when I travel to sites, and my current one is a white Chevy Malibu. I have like the worst luck with this car. In all of my years of driving, I have never hit like a deer, a bird, or anything like that. I have killed and hit so many birds with this Malibu. It's almost guaranteed. Like I hit 2 or 3 a summer with it. I don't know why. It is just like doomed. And so far, and I actually didn't hit one with the Malibu so far this summer. I hit it with a cargo van this summer when I was just delivering books. But I was just up at a Buford, and I didn't get hit with the bird. I got hit with a large rock, and I don't know if you'll be able to quite make that out.
Oh, what?
That is the rock chip that is in there in our windshield after that. So you can kind of see the tip of my finger for scale. I kind of
and that's
zoom it out.
Pretty much the size, right? As you're with your finger.
Yeah, I mean. It's a pretty big chip in there. What the theory is of what happened, because I had a truck go past me the other way, rock came off of it, bounced off the road while I was suspended in air. I hit it, and of course it's like right in sight line. So if that windshield wouldn't have held, it would have hit me in the head. So,
in your face. Yeah.
So
glad that it didn't.
But yeah, I'm glad too. But it was kind of one of those things where it's like, man, I was feeling pretty lucky because I'd hit the one bird with the van and haven't hit anything with the Malibu this year, and now I had that happen. So, yeah.
I mean, technically, most of the time, I would say that the things hit you. So, you could try and explain it that way, I guess, if you wanted to.
Yeah, it's as I said, it's just been crazy. The first summer I had that Malibu, I think I hit 3 birds. I made 3 trips. I hit 3 of them. One of them, I felt bad for the bird because it got up and was going one way, but there was a semi there, so it had to turn back and it had nowhere to go. I'm like, oh, I'm sorry. So, yeah. I don't know what it is about that Malibu. I still haven't hit like a bird or anything with my car ever.
I mean, that's okay. You don't have to fix your car.
Yeah,
very true.
So, but yeah. So I just thought it would be nice to share some driving stories and such with that, because that conversation had came up recently. So, but I don't want to keep Derek too long, so I figure it might be a good time for.
Yep, sounds like Howard the ref is giving you the boot. You've now been removed from ringside.
I was just going to say I'm probably going to get going here. So I appreciate you guys having me on, and glad you enjoyed the beer. I'll definitely
Absolutely.
bring you guys some more the next batch I make. So
Hell yeah. That sounds like one hell of a plan. So thank you again. Appreciate it. Thanks for joining us on another episode of the old Triple B here. And well,
absolutely, anytime.
as we say, we'll catch you on down the road there, Derek.
Yep, and I can't wait to see how the rest of the episode goes when it comes out.
Woo!
And I have another one of your beers sitting here, so it could be good.
It could be. I'm a little disappointed I might miss that.
Oh, you'll see it in 4 weeks.
Right. All right. You guys take care.
You too.
You too.
See you later.
Bye.
And for those of you who are still with us, don't go anywhere because the show's still rolling. We got more stuff to discuss. Many important things.
Yeah, we're just getting rolling here on the old Triple B. So it's good. It's a good show so far. Always good to have the local geek on here and such.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm glad that he was able to carve out a small chunk of time to join us on the show. So
I know he's a busy guy, so yeah, I really appreciative that took some time to join us again for another partial episode here, episode 20, the big 2-0. We're starting to get rolling on this, so awesome. Oh, we got a couple things that we've covered before. Would you say that we have a big update for the controversy? What's the new details in this controversy?
Well, just to kind of give that the update on it, you know, it's a lot of kind of what we have been seeing. A lot of the people upset about things like their pirate ships and all of that. I actually got notification, Kidder, that my wave of lovely plastic crack is on its way to my doorstep and will be delivered on Monday.
Wonderful.
And just in time for me to, you know, put it in a corner until I finish unpacking. But
it happens.
Yeah, Kidder, and it's still funny to me. I still check out that group pretty frequently. There was some, you know, there are kind of two new trends that I'm seeing in it. One, I'm seeing people are starting to post now their piles of stuff, and they all feel the need when they do this to like everyone. It's like, here's all the cool stuff I have, and then they realize like how much stuff it is and go, what have I done? Why did I buy this much stuff? Like, to the point where somebody actually kind of made a mocking post of it. And it was along the lines of, just got my shipping notification. You know, my shipment is coming in 4 boxes totaling 94 kilograms. Here's the obligatory, what have I done post. And it was just, it's crazy. And there are people who I've seen, like, they're posting like how much they have spent on this thing, which is crazy. One guy, Kidder, he bought, I've talked about the pirate ship. You know, it's a 3-foot long pirate ship. The guy didn't buy 1, he didn't buy 2, he didn't buy 3. The guy bought 6 of these things.
He has an armada.
He does. And I'm just like, holy hell. What are you going to do with that? That is 18 feet of plastic pirate ship that he's going to have to paint. You know? And for what? You know, like, I see people talk about this, and whenever they talk about like why they got, you know, a pirate ship, it's always, well, so that I can do naval battles in D&D, and you know, a naval battle ship to ship is not exciting. You got to have multiple ships. And I'm like, how many times are you going to run a multi-ship naval battle in D&D.
Seriously.
You know, maybe if you're doing an ocean campaign, but not a lot of people do those. So maybe 2 or 3 times in like a career of doing this, maybe more. But I'll put it this way: even if you only do it once in a giant campaign, if you only do it once for those 6 ships, the guy spent with shipping, easily like $700 to $800 for.
I was actually expecting more.
Encounter. Well, again, this is their Kickstarter, so the prices are ridiculously cheap.
Mhm.
I could tell you this thing for what it will eventually probably retail is probably in the $200 to $300 range for this pirate ship. So, yeah, but still, I mean, spending nearly $1,000 for a single D&D encounter. I couldn't do it, man. I couldn't do it.
Well, maybe if you had all of that extra capital and you decided that you didn't care about anything else, then yeah, you could. But I know you have, little things like priorities and responsibility figured out. So it happens.
Yeah. But it's amazing to see these people consider what they're posting up as what they bought, and just kind of in my head tallying up what they spent, and I'm just like, oh my gosh. When are you even going to paint all of this stuff? I mean, some people have bought, several thousands of models. When to give anybody an idea, there are people who can speed paint and paint a model in an hour to a level successfully. I am not that. I will put myself as a very average painter. It takes me about 8 hours for a single figure to a quality that I like. So if you think about 1,000 models, I mean, that's 8,000 hours of time spent into that. So again, when people are buying several thousands of these, you're either going to get a lot of really crappy paint jobs, or you will never ever paint all of these. And in fact, I've seen a couple of posts where people have found boxes from previous Kickstarters at like thrift stores, where it's like, here, hundreds of these models because somebody got sick of the hobby and sold them. So
just ridiculous.
Yeah,
I could see maybe it's like a family project if you get a bunch of those, but still, that's a little much. Now, I won't say how much I spent on my new computer, but it's for this show. So there's that. Don't have it yet. We're still rolling off of the 2012 technology here, so little Samsung still rolling along here, but we're gonna have some high horsepower coming in pretty quick.
Yes.
And then we can get some bitchin' graphics. We can get some bitchin' gaming. We can get some bitchin' show production. And whatever else. I'm sure it runs like things, like the Microsoft Office suite fairly well.
Yeah. No, I'm looking forward to your bitchin' PowerPoint, followed by your bitchin' Excel spreadsheet.
Oh, okay. You sound like you want me to make one of those aforementioned things that I probably won't get around to ever or have time. Unless you're here to see it. And look, I can open this. Look. Now what?
Yeah. It's I'm excited that you're getting that. I think you and I have talked about off the show how eventually I will move to a different computer rig for this, and that should hopefully help some of the lag and camera issues that people may have noticed on my feed in past episodes. So hopefully we'll see some improvements in the weeks to come on both ends of the spectrum.
The show just keeps getting better, and that's why I guess I can speak for you on this too, why we are so excited for you, the viewer, or you, the listener, whichever platform that you were taking a listen to this on, are so excited for you to be here and be part of this show. Because, well, as much as we're doing it for the two of us, we are also doing it for you as well. And thanks for enjoying it. Thanks for hanging out with us and spending some time with the Triple B, because, well, we like to think of it, maybe we've mentioned this before, but kind of think of it as this is our time to BS with each other. And we all have busy lives. We all have busy times. And so this is really something that we want to open up and be able to share with everyone, because we share with each other, but then by doing this, we share it with you. And hopefully you feel that peace where you are also a part of this show as well. That's really part of what we want to do. I know I said part of a lot, but it's true. We want you to be part of this thing. So join us on Facebook, join us on Podbean, join us on YouTube. You can also check us out with the email and the KRDN weather stream on Twitch as well. We got a whole bunch of things. Now that Jaco is ready to go, he's got fully Hulkamania'd once again. All right, dude, you got your Smurf suit on, brother. You got your headphones, dude, and you're about to grab that beer and run wild, straight up and down. All that whole thing can do, brother. Yeah. Ooh, yeah.
Truthfully, with these glasses, I would go more of the macho man.
Ooh,
yeah. And in fact, Kidder, people are now wondering why I'm now opening this one now. It's because since we're talking wrestling.
Oh, yeah.
We got to talk wrestling and Money in the Bank. And I have not drank enough for that. So, yeah, we're going to open this up and hopefully...
Totally stared at that beer for like an hour, trying to find myself.
Yeah, we'll see how well we do with this one and such. So, here we go. So far, we're lucky. It's not foaming nearly as bad.
Boo.
That's okay. We're going to run into the problem I actually had in episode 12, which is this, as you can see, glass is full. If you can see, Kidder, it's...
oh, yeah! Bazinga.
Wait for it.
We got a winner. You got to say something.
I'm trying, man. I'm trying to concentrate. Trying to focus. I can say that this this lovely brew that the Brewmaster made, very chuggable. Okay. I think we might be safe. I'm still glad I wore the poncho. There is some beer on the poncho. But I'm not seeing... Well, okay. It is still slowly making its way up the neck. Kidder is enjoying every moment of this. He's laughing his ass off. He's dying in his chair. So I'm glad. It makes sitting in this poncho all worth it. You know, it's kind of... Kidder, you can see this. All of the, little bit of beer down at the bottom, but it is like foam all the way up the bottle in that case. But I think we've gotten to a settle point, so I think you are safe to unmute yourself and
I don't know, man. I don't know. I'm just dying over here. This is quality entertainment. I'm glad that I hit the mute as soon as I did, because that needed to be captured. That needed to be captured. That was great. Wish the other one had been captured So then we didn't have to add in the extra little sounds and whatnot. But because it would have been great just to see it spurting out the top of the bottle. But it's okay. We added the sound effects and the graphics in. We have the technology here on Triple B. And by you joining us on the other end of this whole screen or speaker, you can help us make this show better. You can buy us a beer on the website. That's beerbluesbs.com. You can go on there, buy us a beer. We'll even give you a shout out. So you can type us a message. You can type your name in there. Buy both of us a beer, a 6-pack, a suitcase, a keg. You can, it's up to you if you'd like to, and we certainly would appreciate it. You do any bit of that, and we'll put your name up here on the screen, give you a quick shout. Thanks for the brew. Thanks for joining us. We're just looking forward to having you part of the show. Isn't that right, Jaco?
Yeah, that's exactly right. And, you're watching this, listening to this. It makes it worth it for me to sit here in this poncho. I am actually sweating my ass off in this thing. It is hotter than hot, but you know what? I knew the moment that we started talking about that we actually had these beers in our hands. It's like, you know what? I got to make this joke the best I can. I got to get a poncho. I have to wear the stupid goggles and have fun with this. So I do it for you, the fans, and it's gotten some good laughs. So yeah, it's been great. And I think now we get to tune into.
I do want to say that before we transition to something that's mildly depressing, I do want to say that it kind of looks like you're on like Double Dare or What Would You Do or Guts, perhaps. You're prepared to get slimed. You have the goggles, you get the poncho and the hood and everything, right? So with your Nickelodeon theme, old school Nickelodeon, of course, that's going with the old school Nickelodeon on my end with Camp Anawana. We hold you in our heart. And of course, when we think about you, and then you can fill the rest in too if you know the lyrics.
Mm-hmm.
You may or may not remember. We'll just leave it because I'm sure there's some copyright, something that Nickelodeon will come after us, or CBS, Viacom. I don't know.
But we're going to have to start calling this episode copyright infringement for the number of references and such that were done during the course of it.
No, it's going to attract them. Then they will know. It'll give them an incentive to watch this and sue our asses off. And then they're going to get a whole 50 cents a piece.
I was going to say, Kidder, this is one of those things that they're going to watch this and they're going to be like, we'll sue them. And then somebody will go, sir, I don't think they have any money.
How about let's put it this way. How about anybody from these corporations who's like, I should sue those two whippersnappers for making all these things that are copyrighted? How about instead of paying lawyers a bunch of money to write up paperwork to sue us, just write that money in a check and send it to us at the Triple B to make an improvement in this show. Think of it as a capital investment and a payoff so that we don't say it again. Huh?
Kidder, I just want to know why, for evil corporate business guy, you went Southern country lawyer when everybody knows the best villains are either British or German. You should have gone with a different accent there.
Oh,
just throw that out there.
I didn't know I was going with an accent, but here, allow me to rephrase it.
Oi, those guys over there across the pond, they're ripping off our shows and our names. I swear, we need to get the lawyers. We need to get out this whole legal process, and we need to take all their money.
Oh, sir, I believe that those two people are quite poor.
Why would you say that?
Well, I mean, look at them. One of them is wearing a shirt from the 90s, and the other's wearing a Smurf poncho.
Oh, you're right. That is quite a good point. You know what? You get a raise, and instead of hiring those lawyers, I'm gonna send a check of pounds straight over to those blokes because those Yanks deserve it. Oh, that's a very nice thing of you. All right, shut your pie hole. That's enough out of you. I'm going to take your promotion away. Oh, I'm sorry, sir.
Was that better?
To our 3 listeners from the UK, I'm sorry. Please come back. Please don't give up on us.
Cheap plug. We like Doctor Who. We're big Doctor Who fans. And I've been a fan of television of the British origin since before I was born. Are You Being Served? Classic British TV from the 70s. All right. I think we've saved ourselves. I don't know. Sir Patrick Stewart, one of the greatest captains on the planet, a British man playing a French guy with an English accent who likes Shakespeare.
I like how you're now just throwing out any English reference you have to like save the show.
Benedict Cumberbatch, Sherlock Holmes, the British edition, the original Office, Downton Abbey.
Just as a side tangent. And then we really should get to Money in the Bank so we can finish that.
Okay.
As much as I appreciate stalling, I was working on editing the last episode where we had a lively debate about Star Wars versus Star Trek. And, I know you'll eventually check this out and catch it in the editing, but you might remember you and I had a little bit of a thing about Star Trek the Motion Picture.
Mm-hmm.
And so at that time, future Howard, who's now past Howard, is time travel.
Yeah.
He decided, you know what?
Wibbly wobbly, timey-wimey.
Right. We should settle this debate. And so he may have inserted the Rotten Tomatoes scores into the episode. And, Star Trek the Motion Picture may have gotten a 41%, whereas, Into Darkness picked up a strong 84%, proving it's the better movie.
Well, who really listens to those critics anyway? I mean, they're just a bunch of pompous pricks.
Yeah, excuses. Anyway. However, Kidder, I will say I didn't dare take and look up the scores for the Star Wars movies because I'm sure there's a couple in the prequel range that would score below that 41%. So,
yep.
Anyway,
I'm guessing one of them would be Solo.
Solo didn't do as bad. It's not as hated as things like Attack of the Clones. And Attack of the Clones
that had a great soundtrack.
It did. It had terrible dialogue. Terrible dialogue.
Much like every other Star Wars movie.
No, there's some good ones.
Okay.
Star Wars is very quotable. Mm-hmm.
Quotes, you will say, you will.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Anyway. So, yeah. Anyway, but that
this is not the segment you were looking for.
No. I will say, Kidder, this has inspired me for an idea for a future segment. But I'm going to hold that one a little close to the vest. Because it's going to require
poncho.
Yeah, because it's going to require a certain gentleman from Indiana to be on the show for it, because he, very much like you, he is also a fan of the Star Trek, and I think that there's some entertainment to be had there, sure. which I only really bring him up to go, hint, gentleman from Indiana, when are you coming on the show? We know you've agreed to it. Be good to have you on anytime now. We're
Yeah.
waiting. You know how to reach us.
Anytime.
Yep. Anytime now. Be good for you to come on. Stop stalling. It's only going to be worse if you keep stalling. We will keep thinking up crap to do to you. So, in fact, I think I actually have a third one of these beers. Might send it to him.
Yeah.
Although he'll probably have seen this episode, so he'll know the trap.
Well, you just have to do it in the next 3 weeks.
Yeah, I don't think he's quite into the state in the next 3 weeks. So,
well,
that's what makes it. It is disappointing. It is very disappointing.
Right.
But he is also
just have to
behind
get a future beer.
Yeah. Exactly. All right, Kidder. I think we've been stalling long enough.
All right.
We should talk money in the bank.
Fine. Money. MITB 2021. The second return of fans to the WWE program in 2021. Although numerous mentions of the first time fans have been in attendance for 18 months. Or however long. Young. All right. How do we want to do this? Do we want to just say the match and then who won? Or
yeah, I mean, we could give a quick rundown of the card, say the match, who won, maybe some generalized thoughts.
okay.
And then at the end of that, I can reveal the winner of the predictions from Money in the Bank, because I have that handy. And I may or may not have mentioned it before I... Actually, I didn't mention it before I left, so that it could be a surprise and wait for the triple B. But I guess we do need to say I was able to make it down to your place to join you to watch Money in the Bank.
This is the best part of the show.
Yeah, one of my least favorite shows usually on the calendar. Although I will say, Kidder, I will say that this Money in the Bank, on the higher end of Money in the Bank pay-per-views. I mean, it's still not like fantastic, but compared to some where it's been like, hey, there's one good match, and that's hard, to say when there's like two Money in the Bank matches on a show to go, well, there was one good match on the show.
Yeah.
I was okay with this one. I thought there was some quality stuff on it.
Mm-hmm. Yep, there were some pretty good matches. Couple letdowns, but I guess that's kind of every pay-per-view for us as we do that thing. So the first match on our list, Rey Mysterio and Dominic Mysterio, the Raw Tag Team SmackDown Tag Team Champions. See, we don't even know what frickin' show people are on anymore. SmackDown Tag Team Champions, the first family tag teams, father-son tag teams, that is, in WWE history, versus the Usos. So there's that. Of course, Jimmy Uso getting a DUI earlier this month, and again, having an arrest on his record. So what does WWE do? Hey, we'll give you a championship opportunity. Not only an opportunity, the Usos pick up the victory. Yeah, not a fan. Think it's dumb. I think he should be suspended or fired and be going through mandatory alcohol treatment through the company, because in any other corporation or wrestling, or I shouldn't say wrestling organization, but I mean any corporation, you get arrested for something, you're usually suspended or taken out of the limelight. Nope, not here. Here's a title. Congratulations. You drink too much.
Yeah. I don't really have a problem with them winning the titles. I mean, they are an excellent tag team. This match, along with a match that we will talk about later, when it comes to the title picture, I kind of wonder, and I kind of have this feeling, and this is just a theory, because the last few pay-per-views, they've really hyped up this this partnership with DraftKings, or the fact that you can now on DraftKings gamble on the pay-per-views. And I wonder if that hasn't caused them to throw in some of these screwball and unpredicted finishes just for the sake of causing people to be wrong on those. Like, I don't have enough proof on that, but it's one of those when you look at it, I would have a hard time kind of figuring out, especially right before SummerSlam, why you would change some of these titles. And that's the only thing I can think of.
Sure.
So
yeah, makes sense. Makes sense.
So it's a thought. It's a theory. Not that I'm trying to say like there's collusion, because I don't think it's that. I think it's just that that predictability. Because I know you and I, if we go back and we look at past prediction sheets, we tend to get more right than we get wrong. We probably are closer to the 60 to 70% accuracy rate on what we kind of predict. And it seems like the last few pay-per-views that's been a little bit more off. And I kind of wonder if that's not some of it. But
sure,
just a thought. It's something that crossed my mind. It's nothing more than as I would put it, a bar stool theory. So, but
I like it.
Okay match, just yeah, yeah, that's kind of what I put it at.
Yep, that's about where that was. Then we had the men's Money in the Bank ladder match for the World Championship contract. On this one, we had Ricochet, John Morrison, Riddle, Drew McIntyre, Big E, KO, Nakamura, the King Nakamura, and Seth Rollins. This one was, again, okay. It wasn't overly fancy. It wasn't overly terrible, but, I mean, it, could have been better, I guess. Big E picking up the surprise victory on this one. I say surprise victory because there were, a few other people figured that they were going to win, but they did not. So I'm okay with that. Big E is a good dude. He's put in his dues, and I think that he would be a great top-tier title holder.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have a problem with Big E. I know I had chosen Rollins to win this, just because, as I've said, they usually go with heels. Heels tend to be better at having the Money in the Bank championship. So I kind of very much expected a heel. And of the heels that were in there, Seth Rollins seems like the bigger name. A couple of things, though, that we do have to mention on this. There was some problems with the feed, the stream during this. So
yeah,
if you were watching this on Peacock, you missed from about the entrances probably a couple of minutes into the match. And they eventually had to switch
5+ minutes.
Yeah. They eventually, from what I hear they switched over to the international feed and solved the problem. So there was some of that. I will say, Kidder, I liked this ladder in the Money in the Bank match better than the other one, the women's. Although I will say, I feel like for as dangerous as this match has the potential to be, I feel like there are only a couple of individuals who really stood out in it. Drew McIntyre got taken out by Jinder Mahal, which is probably building up that at SummerSlam, which feels like a real interesting punishment for Drew McIntyre. Guy goes from being the champion during the year of COVID to facing Jinder Mahal, who kind of comes back from obscurity. I don't know if it's a punishment to McIntyre or if it's a trying to rebuild Jinder. We'll see.
Yeah. Former champ versus former champ and former tag partners of the 3-man band.
Yeah, but I will definitely say that Owens and Rollins worked their tails off and are probably the two standouts. Nakamura had some good moments. Ricochet, Morrison, and Riddle, they didn't really do much in the match, and neither really did Big E until kind of the end. He had the big landing on Seth Rollins and the win, but otherwise was kind of absent from the match. That match, I think, was really saved by the work that Kevin Owens put into it. And I would stand by that. I think Owens worked his ass off, and it shows, as he had probably the most memorable parts of that match.
Yeah, I agree. On to the next match. On our list, we have the women's Money in the Bank ladder match for the women's championship match contract. And in this match, we had Asuka, Naomi, Alexa Bliss, Nikki Cross, ASH, almost superhero, Liv Morgan, Zelina Vega, Natalya, and Tamina, which, of course, Natalya and Tamina, current women's tag team champions, which brings up that, can they coexist in this match where they're now against each other? Whatever. This one was all right. Again, not that many crazy spots, but I thought the end was pretty stupid. Not who won, just the ending of how they're like all up there. Well, aside from Alexa Bliss, they just buried her under 30 ladders. And then she just disappeared. The ladders disappeared. Nobody mentions it. How the hell did she get out from underneath that? Nobody cares. Match is over. Whatever. We just left her there to die. Oh, she's back the next night, so she didn't die. Okay. But winner in this match was Nikki Cross. Nikki, almost superhero. Nikki ASH, as they're calling her. I was okay with that. Again, just not how cheesy the ending seemed.
Yeah, there's nothing that makes that ending more cheesy than when you actually see the replay and you see Tamina looking at Nikki, reaching for it, and Tamina just kind of like throw a punch. Truthfully, I understand this is a Money in the Bank match, but this match is forgettable to me. I couldn't tell you much of anything that happened in this match. I don't have a problem with who won. And I think, Kidder, I don't know if you saw, Nikki would go on to cash in already and has claimed the title.
I was going to mention that, but I wanted you to discuss your thoughts on the match first. And truthfully, I'm okay with it, because a match that we have two down on our list that we'll discuss here in a little bit. With that finish, I am okay with Nikki taking that title.
Yeah, but anyway, this match, I don't really recall much, except for the headdress that Zelina Vega wore to the ring made it look like she had a tiara made out of spoons.
Yeah, plastic white spoons.
Yeah. That and Liv Morgan's eyes on her.
Yeah, the apparel she had.
the boobs of her wrestling. Yeah, it
The
that was
tassels
kind of weird.
and green eyes that look like nipples. It's bizarre. And it was funny because you were commenting on that, the long tassels coming off the eyeballs, which would just look like, nipple tassels. And then I think you looked down at your laptop, and I said, "Oh, just wait, because her ass also says, 'Watch me.'" So you're like, "What?" And then it shows her turn around, and I see you face palm. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's not that I like to like. I don't tend to be one to critique like wrestlers' apparel, but it just was interesting choices. And as I said, the rest of the match, meh. This was forgettable, and it makes sense why this was early on the card.
Yeah. Next match on our list is Bobby Lashley, the WWE champion, with MVP versus Kofi Kingston with Xavier Woods. Now, this one, very much expected and pretty much called this match. Some good spots in there. Kofi put up a great match, and I still feel Kofi is a great contender to be a champion, but not happening at this point in the WWE. Bobby Lashley picking up the big W there, continuing it into SummerSlam. Why? Because Goldberg.
Yeah, no, this was a match that I think anybody looking at. Oh, well, in fact, I believe this is the match that on the pre-show when they were talking with their analysis of it, that everybody on the panel picked Bobby Lashley. I mean, I don't think Kofi had a chance. This was just a filler for the program until they could get to Goldberg. And again, to me, it's then why have this match? And the real shame is the storytelling behind this match was actually really good. Like I mean, you know me, I'm not following right now, but just from what I got to see of like the video promo before the match, like the whole thing of Kofi calling out Lashley saying, "Hey, you're partying it up. You're living this style. You're getting soft. You're getting weak. You're getting slow." And having, Lashley lose 2 matches to kind of him and Xavier Woods, and have Lashley come out and say, Kofi's right. I need to get back into this mode. That was actually some very good storytelling, and it actually made me care for this angle a little bit. I almost kind of wish that they would have announced Goldberg before this, because then this feels like a tune-up,
Mm-hmm.
and it, you could have had that, like, yeah, it's kind of this now month-long race to get to that. I almost could have seen that be a tune-up to where Kofi could have called that out. Like, you think you can beat Goldberg? I doubt you can beat me in this, and have him build to not just beat Kofi, but to deal with this incoming challenger.
Yeah.
So,
but no, not how they're writing, not how they're thinking. On to the next thing, just like WWE did. Rhea Ripley, the Raw Women's Champion, versus Charlotte Flair. This one I really didn't think that they were going to move to championship, but as Jake mentioned a little bit ago, with the DraftKings thing, some speculation, purely speculation, that there's some shenanigans going on in the back scene to make the potential for ups and downs, wins and losses and whatnot a little bit more unpredictable, shall we say. This one, Charlotte Flair picks up the victory. It was a pretty good match. Charlotte putting on a clinic again of wrestling. And then, as we mentioned, the following night during Charlotte Flair's championship celebration coronation, the rematch becomes a thing. Let's just put it that way. Rhea Ripley challenged Charlotte again for that rematch later on. Rhea Ripley does what she can, but Charlotte uses the belt, cheats to win, and then gets beat up by Rhea afterward. And Nikki Cross comes out, cashes in the Money in the Bank contract, is able to do the couple signature moves, and 1, 2, 3. Nikki Cross is the winner and the new Raw Women's Champion. So there's that. Your thoughts, Jacob?
Yeah, this was actually probably one of the better matches of the show. I thought Rhea and Charlotte tore the place down from even the beginning, the opening where you had the crowd saying, "We want Becky," and Charlotte just flips off the crowd. I mean,
WWE edited that out, or Peacock edited that out. As you see Charlotte doing this, they completely blanked that section of it. They tried to do it live, but miserably failed.
Yeah, which is a shame. Not that I'm a big fan of a lot of profanity and things like that, but just a good heel move in that case. And yeah, an excellent match, a clinic of a match, just really, really good, and really shows that Rhea Ripley deserves to be up in that title picture. Yeah, and we talked about the DraftKings thing. The only thing I could see is that it sounds like from what I've seen in some things that I've read, that Vince is really excited about this Nikki ASH gimmick, and thinks that it'll be a wonderful thing to be champion and to do Make-A-Wish things and all of that. And I think
Make money.
I think that's kind of why there was a bit of right. I think there's that push then to put the title on Nikki. And I think if you were going to have Nikki pin one of these two, pin Charlotte, put some credibility on Nikki, and leaves Rhea kind of open for not necessarily being destroyed by that. So,
yeah.
So, yeah.
Next match on the card, another match that we had high hopes for, and I mean, I enjoyed it. Roman Reigns. What?
I was going to say,
go ahead.
Since that one is the main event and comes with some news, we might want to jump to the other tag team match.
All right. Let us do that. So, pause. Other match. AJ Styles and Omos versus the Viking Raiders, Eric and Ivar. One of the pages I follow on Facebook, it was funny, and made me laugh anyway, because they commented, okay, next match is this, and it was, have we ever figured out who the hell is Eric and who the hell is Ivar? I'm like, you kind of have a point, because I forget every week. I'm like, oh yeah, that's so-and-so, and then whatever. This one was a filler match for me. Wasn't very important, and again, is what it is. The retention for AJ Styles and Omos over the Viking Raiders. Yeah, you're getting tired just talking about the damn thing. It was almost a week ago. I'm still bored by it.
Yeah, this match, I mean, not that there wasn't good stuff in it. It just, when you have built Omos to be this unbeatable giant monster, and you need to go 20 minutes in a match with him, it just, meh. I mean, a lot of great talent in here. I just think that the fact that you have the unbeatable giant gimmick in this match just tanks the match. Because then there's no reason for it to go 20, and so you had a lot of AJ Styles in there selling and such. Eric and Ivar did fine, but again, it was just one of those, you were just waiting for Omos to come in and end it. And even though he tagged in and out several times, it just, you just kind of whenever they put somebody in that, like not just the unbeatable gimmick, right? Because like they did that with Rusev,
Mm-hmm.
and the thing with Rusev and his unbeaten streak was he wasn't like Superman about it. And so you were kind of just always wondering, when was he going to fall? When was this going to happen? But when you get this kind of a gimmick where it's like he's unbeatable, he's da-da-da, eventually you got to beat him. It was the same problem they had with the Fiend, right? Fiend takes 15 some curb stomps from Seth Rollins. He's this unbeatable thing. And as soon as you put the title on him, then no match really, like, it just kind of ruined it. And it's this match ruins it, not for his talent or that. It's just because he's got that stupid unbeatable giant gimmick. So, yeah.
Yeah. It's about it.
Yeah. Yeah. So this brings us into the main event.
Okay. So the big main event, like I was talking about, Roman Reigns, the WWE Universal Champion, with Paul Heyman, versus the Rated R Superstar Edge. I was really hoping that WWE would take a switch on this one, pull their head out of their ass, give Edge the title, but no. They held tight to their plans for SummerSlam and, kept on with Roman Reigns being the champion.
Yeah. So this wasn't a bad match. It was good up until we got to the screwy stuff at the end. So of course there was a ref bump, and you knew stuff was going to happen. And so this gets to a thing of too much, and I think they did too much because they were trying to keep it a surprise. So just for those who didn't see it, there's a ref bump. Jimmy and Jey Uso come down with the Mysterios hot on their tail, to the point of, like, as you see the Usos coming down, like, you see the Mysterios right behind them, and you're just like, woo? Yeah, you kind of knew. But the Mysterios come down, chase the Usos away. You get the piece of chair that has kind of been one of the props of this feud between Roman Reigns and Edge. And Edge gets it locked in. Seth Rollins comes down, kicks Edge in the back of the head, and then leaves. And then you have the end of the match. Roman Reigns wins. And then Rollins comes back and attacks Edge, which was just an excuse to get Edge out. And this is where I mean, too much stuff. Did you need the Usos? No. I understand that you had that little promo segment earlier in the show where Roman Reigns says, I want to get, he hints that the Usos need to attack Edge. So you kind of saw that coming. I understand that. But then to have Rollins come out as well, not once but twice, if you were going to do that, why not? Why not just have Rollins come out, kick Edge in the head, which leads to a DQ if you didn't do the ref bump, and then Edge chases Rollins off. That works. There were simpler ways to get it. It gets to Occam's razor, and I am not talking about the authors of Pain. It's simplest answer to this, and it got so convoluted that, of course, then when the big surprise of the night comes out, and I don't know, do we need to issue a spoiler warning? I mean,
Spoiler. It's been 5 weeks since the damn show, so you should know already.
But
oh
no,
what?
Go for it. Yeah, that's right. John Cena makes his return and gets in Roman's face, and will later cut a promo after cameras go off. But Yep, they are setting up Roman Reigns versus John Cena for SummerSlam. Kidder, I feel like I can lock this in right now. Roman Reigns will defeat John Cena because from everything I'm hearing, Cena is basically cleared for kind of like this month and SummerSlam, and then is immediately gone back to Europe after SummerSlam. So the odds of him getting to be champion.
And they're still tantalizing that 17th title, the history-breaking title run. They're still teasing that. So, I mean, do you go with the outside odds and then have that, or hold to the true?
I mean,
Sorry.
listen, it's the WWE. You could also probably see them, I mean, even if they wanted to pull the trigger on that, have Cena win the title from Reigns and then have Big E cash in and take it right away. It's the shortest, stupidest title reign, but it counts, and he's got his 17th reign. I mean, you could see them do that. I think that would just piss off a lot of people.
Unless something changes, I will, at this moment, choose Cena. Just to be different from you, to follow that theory. Because why not?
Yeah,
it's like,
yeah,
it's like whose line is it anyway? The picks are made up and the points don't matter. So,
but Kidder, the points do matter. So at the end of all of these shenanigans in this show, here we are. We only had 3 participants in this pay-per-view's predictions. In third place, bringing up the rear with 2 points, is none other than Mark Kidder. So Kidder finishes in third. In second place with a whopping 3 points is myself. So I take second. For the audience, you might be wondering, who's in first? Kidder's in third. Howard's in second. Who's the mystery third?
Number one.
With a crushing 4 points in this pay-per-view, it's none other than Mrs. Kidder. That's right. Kidder's wife beat us both.
Yay. Good job.
She was the only one who predicted Flair. So that's got her a point above the 2 of us. And also then Kidder had the out there pick of picking the Viking Raiders over AJ and Omos. So which was a bold move, Kidder. Bold move. Way to make predictions interesting.
Well, I like to live on the edge every once in a while. That's why I was the host of it for 3 years. All right. Other interesting things with wrestling. Tony Storm debuted on SmackDown this evening and picked up a victory over Zelina Vega in her debut match on SmackDown. Who were the chicks in the tank from NXT? I don't even remember, but they changed their name a little bit for Raw. They debuted and they lost their debut match.
Shotzi Blackheart is one. Who's the other?
Yeah. I can't even remember, but it's like, oh, I think he froze. Oh no. Oh no, the internet.
I'm looking it up real fast. Tegan Knox is the other one. Shotzi Blackheart and Tegan Knox.
That's right. It's Shotzi and Knox now. And they lost their debut match. And then, who is it? The NXT champion? Is that who it was? It was. He's been on a 1.5 undefeated streak or some stupid thing. Shows up
crushing everybody. Like,
Shows
this
up
isn't
on-
just an undefeated streak. This is a crushing everybody undefeated streak.
Interesting. Shows up on Monday Night Raw and starts spouting off and has a match with Jeff Hardy. Jeff Hardy beats him. 1, 2, 3. Out.
2 minutes. 2 minutes. There's a lot of people very upset about this. Because there's a lot of people who like Karrion Kross and like this kind of this undefeated streak, this persona he's got going. And, you know, if you're WWE, it doesn't make any sense to bring the NXT champion, the guy who's been dominant for over a year and a half, onto your show, beat him in 2 minutes. What does that say about NXT? You know, you just depowered and devalued what's probably the best part of the WWE right now with that. So there's a lot of controversy about that one. Also, a lot of controversy about the return of Keith Lee, and he also would suffer a defeat. And Kidder, here's the only logic why for Karrion Kross and Keith Lee losing that I heard. They were in their hometown.
Well, I guess that'll happen.
Yeah. For those who maybe don't know, WWE has this habit. They think that it gets easy heat to beat a face in their hometown. So, yeah.
Yeah. Let's see. What else can we talk about? Well, we're still talking about wrestling here.
I got a rumor for you.
Well, I'm getting to that one, and I already know that you know what I know. I'm pretty sure. So there's a Hall of Famer that has signed a 2-year deal with AEW, and that would be Jake the Snake Roberts. So he's still on the payroll over there at the old AEW. The second one is, of course, Daniel Bryan, not being on WWE's roster for quite a while. In fact, I believe it was WrestleMania was his last matches that he wrestled this year, somewhere around there. Contract expired, non-renewed, whatever the case was, separate ways. AEW has reportedly picked him up, and by the time this episode actually airs, we'll probably know if he legitimately has signed, but there's plenty of speculation and articles out there saying that he has signed and his debut will be coming soon on AEW programming. Aside from that, WWE has also ordered 2K games or 2K Interactive to remove Daniel Bryan from 2K22. So there has to be some truth to that portion of it. And I'm guessing the big piece that you are referencing is it's Clamor time coming to AEW. I am definitely hoping for that, and it would give me a reason to actually watch AEW. I know, for whatever reason, I just have not enjoyed AEW. Haven't put a lot of time into trying to watch, but whatever. But CM Punk comes back, you're damn tootin'. I'm going to hit the record button on the old DVR and watch every episode. At least the portions where CM Punk graces the screen. And probably Christian, because really became a Christian fan over the past few years too. So there's those pieces of wrestling news. Also, in the speculation department, apparently somebody has confirmed at some point, somewhere, somehow, that Survivor Series will feature the return of the People's Champion. that is The Rock returning to potentially take the title from Roman Reigns. If that goes that far, interesting to see if we get that point, or to that point, I should say. You got any other rumors or purely speculation over there, Jake?
No, that's pretty much all of it. So
The Fiend is supposed to be returning at some point in the near future.
You know, as much as I want to be like, woo, the Fiend, after the last time they had the Fiend and what they did with him, meh.
I do have to say, aside from part of the caption here, I'm going to put this up to the camera, but does this basically say the mood for the state of WWE right now?
I'd say it's a pretty good representation of it. I think it's we're seeing, and this is an interesting thing. I think we're seeing kind of a bit of a decline in some cases. We saw WWE build up this amazing roster, and I think we're seeing a lot of this amazing roster be squandered and not used to their full potential, and we're seeing them leave and end up in different places where they're now having success. I get a little worried about AEW. They keep picking up a lot of this talent bleed off from WWE, and they have a pretty full roster as it is, so I always worry about more people joining that because there's only so much time and so many slots. You know, so it's always interesting in that regard. I think we're kind of at a point where WWE is run by somebody who's done kind of all the tricks they know how to do, and they just keep recycling them, and they seek what they try too hard to tell us you will like this.
Yep.
And instead of always listening to what we as the fans really want to like. And it's sad because you have this audience that I think really wants to like the product, really wants to be excited about it, really wants to enjoy it. And they make it hard too. You know? And that's I think kind of where I'm even at with it, where it's hard for me to enjoy any aspect of it because the talent I want to see just isn't on there or not given the chances, or you know, it's because of stupid things. You know, why isn't Kevin Owens champion? Because he looks like he's overweight, and Vince doesn't like that as a look for a champion. The guy has been, you know, why isn't Cesaro champion? Yeah, because English isn't his first language and he doesn't speak it as well as Vince would like. It's just some of those things where, you know, I just get tired. And there's also been, I don't know, to me, there's been this trend, and it's interesting because if you go back to old time WWE, like Bruno Sammartino, it was all about like years of reigns, right? You know, he's held the title for 3 to 4 years. You know, it was this thing. It was this old school mentality of these super long title reigns, and only really did they hand it over like when they were ready to crown their new super champion. And then you got to the Attitude Era, and it always felt like there was a bit more bouncing around of the title. And I think people enjoyed that. I think people enjoyed that you could go into an Attitude Era pay-per-view and not know who was going to walk out with the title, whether it was a screwy finish or just decent talent. I mean, you have Stone Cold versus The Undertaker. Gosh, that could go either way, you know. You have Stone Cold versus The Rock. Gosh, that could go either way. You have Stone Cold versus Kurt Angle. That could go either way. I mean, it's, you had just enough of that. Triple H is in there as well. I mean, you just had kind of this wealth of really good top talent, and it just kind of kept you guessing on it. And I think now they've kind of gone back to these long title reigns. And they don't like to flip the title. And you see them bringing out the same old guns. I mean, Drew McIntyre had to face Bill Goldberg. Bobby Lashley's going to have to face Bill Goldberg. One of the champions at WrestleMania next, April will face Bill Goldberg. It's just not exciting, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
It's that. So
yeah, but at least the fans are back, so they can boo in person.
Yeah, it will be interesting to see how the lack of piped in audio and now having an actual crowd might change some things. Not that WWE ever really listens to the crowd, but that's where I kind of think it is, and I think that's just what makes it difficult to enjoy. Is you just can't get behind people because then they're gone. You watch people in NXT, you get a real kick out of them, you're excited for them, and then just nothing. You had Finn Balor come out and become the first ever Universal Champion, and he of course had to vacate the title because of injury. And they just didn't do anything exciting with him once he came back. And it's like, why not? You had this guy who had people so thrilled and so excited for him. You have people who go off, and Dean Ambrose and with his John Moxley in AEW, putting on a clinic and just being the character he should have been when he returned, because he came back from injury ripped and looking good and looking like this tough, badass persona. And that's what he's doing in AEW, and it's over. He just won the IGWP US title again. So, I think you're seeing a lot of strikeouts on this because WWE it's run by old people, and they just don't know how to do new tricks.
Yeah. Well, how about we get out of the old tricks part ourselves, get this thing rolling, because we're probably just beating that horse that's already been dead for weeks. The expansion draft occurred, and tonight, in fact, was the regular yearly NHL draft. A couple things of note that I took note of anyway. In the Kraken expansion, they chose Jonas Donskoy from the Avalanche roster. And so Kraken have now taken over Donskoy, and he is no longer a member of the Colorado Avalanche. Also of note, Matt Calvert has decided to retire. So number 11, thanks for joining us along the way and your hard work and whatnot. So Calvert, enjoy your retirement. And the Colorado Avalanche had pick, let me see here, what was it? Number 28 in the draft this year. So many posts to go through. Yes. In the first round, your Colorado Avalanche had the 28th pick. And this year in the 2021 draft, they have selected Oscar Olason. Again, 28th overall pick, 2021 NHL draft. And it looks like he played for Sweden. I believe. If you take a look at that, looks very, very Swedish to me.
Yep.
All right. So there's the newest member of the Colorado Avalanche. So onward and upward again, as they say. Hey.
Yeah.
He's an 18-year-old forward from Stockholm, Sweden. So we'll we'll see what he can do. See what that kid's got.
Yeah. No, there was there was some controversy kind of earlier this last weekend and such with the expansion draft for us Colorado Avs fans, because when the protected list came out, there was a lot of concern because our captain Gabriel Landeskog was not one of the protected players, and I know there were a lot of very angry comments I saw on Facebook about how dare we not protect our captain and all of that. I wasn't real worried that they were going to take Landeskog just because of what that would do for their salary cap. Yeah. I kind of was like, yeah, I don't think they're gonna pick up Landeskog. I think they're Domsky and Comper were the two others that were kind of being floated around as the pick, and I'm like, it's going to be one of those two, more than likely. One thing of interest and note of this expansion draft compared to the last expansion draft, which was the Golden Knights, there were no side deals made in this expansion draft. So, for that, what that means, it would be that if you might have had another team, like I'm just going to use the Avs. Okay, you might have had the Avs say, "Well, we didn't protect Landeskog, so we're going to talk to the Kraken and say, hey, we'll make you a deal. We'll trade you a second round pick if you leave Landeskog alone." Right, so a side deal like that.
I gotcha.
They had, part of the rules of the expansion draft was that they had to declare any of those, and they declared none. So there were no side deals made throughout this. So that was kind of a thing of note and interest. So I don't think, Kidder, we need to run through the whole list of who was picked. It'll be
any of note that you want to share, because I've seen the list as a glance. Only one member of the Avs on that list in general, so I didn't quite see. But from my understanding, it was a lot of young picks for the most part, like kind of developing the team.
Yeah. So really what you see and you look at it, they went actually fairly heavy defense. So even like the forwards they picked up tended to be good defensive type playing forwards. They tended to go with younger guys that they could take and develop and do something with. Which is also good because younger guys also will come in with a lower salary, which is good for your cap and also leaves room for them to possibly pick up some of the free agents this year and to make some of those deals. So it left them some bargaining room. They did pick up some veterans like Giordano. But here was the kind of interesting thing, and the smart thing, at least I viewed as smart. They only picked up veterans who had won Stanley Cups and been part of Stanley Cup winning teams. So really kind of picking up some of these older veteran players, but players who have been successful in that regard and who can help maybe develop some really good habits and help these younger guys develop into a quality team. So those were kind of the takeaways that I had from reading the list and such. So it's interesting. Some teams, of course, you can find different analysts lists of which teams fared better in the expansion draft and which ones fared worse. So Most view like the Avs as having done favorably. It clears up some of our cap space and such, which we were going to need. We needed some of that space to be able to say sign Landeskog. Sign Landeskog back.
Right.
So there's some of that that was actually kind of helpful to us and such. So it'll be interesting to see how the Kraken affair. I know they've already done one trade since the trade freeze has now ended, and their teams are now allowed to make trades. So I forget who that was with and such, but they've made one trade so far. I'm sure we'll see a few more, and I'm sure we'll see them sign a few more free agents. But overall, I think they'll be a good team, but not. I don't think they're going to be quite the same powerhouse that we saw out of the Las Vegas Golden Knights.
Right.
And right off the bat.
I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that. I hope the best for Hackstall and crew. A little disappointed, like some other Sioux fans, that at least as of this recording, that no former Sioux players were chosen, as even some of the experience of being on Stanley Cup teams or even finalists in the playoff or final Stanley Cup final matchups. But there's still time, so we'll have to see. The season's young, begins in October, so the countdown is on for the next season. I believe that's the beginning of the regular season in October, so little preseason matchups and all that good stuff coming up. Looking forward to another season of your Colorado Avalanche kicking the crap out of the rest of the teams, and maybe we can get another one of these trophies right here, the President's Trophy. Or, even better, let's get the cup, man. Let's get it. Looking forward to that.
Yeah.
So,
Kidder, I got one last kind of fun, interesting story for you. Because we dove into talking to Derek right away. So you didn't get to ask me about my week, and I was going to share a story that happened just tonight. I had Junior tonight, or kind of this afternoon. I had a half day today, and me and him were playing with this set of tongs that my wife had kind of overheated, and so they had melted a bit. And we were playing, kind of trying to like pick up balls with them, and I tried to do this fun little trick of, hey, I'll throw this ball up and I'll catch it with this set of tongs. And in trying to do so, I pinched my finger in these metal tongs and actually took off a chunk of finger earlier tonight.
I was wondering what the hell you did to your finger.
Yeah, which has made like any of the typing and such that I have had to do extremely painful, because of course it's right on the part of the finger that I strike the key with. But let me tell you, trying to get up a flight of stairs with a toddler while trying to hold a paper towel to the couch, and of course, as I said a little bit earlier, but we are we are 7 days away from the big move. Luckily, when we were packing up stuff in our bathroom, my wife said, what are the key things we need to leave out and make be a scoopable? I said, leave some Band-Aids out. Someone is getting injured before this is over. She left all of 2 out. I have now used 1.
Good job.
There we are down to 1 bandage, but yes, that was my early evening this evening, and I had to share. And the stupid thing is, this poor Band-Aid is already raveling. I actually had to take a scissors, you might have noticed during the show, me looking down, and cut off the elements of it that are fraying and such, because it was driving me nuts.
Unbelievable.
So,
I tell you, can't take you anywhere.
No, you can't. But Kidder, we've been talking for quite a while, so it's probably time for us to wrap this up and do some cheap plugs.
All right. Let's put a nice little tidy bow on this here show. First of all, join us on Facebook, facebook.com/beerbluesbs. We'd love for you to hit that thumbs up button, like us, connect with the show. You can find all of our episodes linked right there, and where we have all the other goodies, such as the Killer Kidder Show playlist on Spotify, along with a link to our website that is beerbluesbs.com. You can even buy us a beer if you would so like to do. We would love for you to do that as well. Other than that, let's see. We also have Podbean. Podbean.com, and search Beer Blues and BS, because right on there you can get to every one of our podcast listening sources. iHeartRadio. We're on Pandora. We're on Apple Podcasts. We're on Google Podcasts. We're on Amazon Podcasts. The audio file, whatever the hell it's called on Amazon. It's podcast something or other, this and that. We have a few others right on there. They are listed on the Podbean website. We are every damn place a podcast is, so you can check us out right there on Podbean. Of course, you can watch this show on YouTube. Join us there. Subscribe. Get our weekly shows right there. And you never know when you're going to get one of those special bonus episodes of Beer, Blues, and BS. You know, we have some fun here and there. And you never know when the next one's going to be coming at you. But we have some bonus episodes now and again. And if you want some weather information, check out the KRDN Eyewitness Weather Now stream. That is twitch.tv/KRDN Eyewitness Weather Now. Again, KRDN.com. No, just kidding. It's twitch.tv/KRDN Eyewitness Weather Now. I'm too cheap to get a website. So if you want to pay for a website, yeah, we can get that done too. Other than that, join us again next week for another rousing edition of the show. Tell your friends. Sharing is caring. We'll share some beer with you, because free beer tomorrow right here in the Triple B. Thanks for joining us for another episode. He is Howard Blues. Howard at beerbluesbs.com. I'm Kidder at beerbluesbs.com. You can also join and email Rude Boy Kyle, rudeboy at beerbluesbs.com, or perhaps Brother Nico, Bob Giggles at beerbluesbs.com. All those and more on our Facebook page and our website, beerbluesbs.com. So, for Howie Blues, the Jake Blues, I am the man, the myth, the legend, Mark Kidder, Camp Anawana. We're always in our hearts. Have a great week. We'll catch you on down the Tuscan Highway.
You have been listening to a UA production of Beer, Blues, and BS. If you enjoyed the show, help others find out about it by rating the show or leaving a review at your podcast listening service of choice. Thanks for listening, and may your glass never be empty. UA Productions presents A Glimpse Behind the Curtain.
We need at least one review, so then we can get 78% more page visits. Derek, I need you to do something.
Okay.
This claims to be on Facebook, that it would actually give us more traction.
Oh, gotcha.
Hate Facebook. I was going to say it.
Ow.
Every week, Kidder, you know, I tag you in the post.
Yeah. And
every week, when I go to tag you in the post, it pulls up 5 other Mark Kidders, but not you. It's like Facebook can't learn. Like, this guy, he tags these Mark Kidders. You know, It's like, nope. Here's 5 schmucks you don't know.
That sounds about right. Oh boy. Okay. So I have to say that I kind of cheated. And by I kind of cheated, I mean I put it in a glass already.
I did too. And drank almost half of it.
Oh man. At least I haven't drank any yet. Uh-oh. Yes.
All right, we should get this going because I know Derek
You got
has
some,
a time that he's got to be out, so we better
he's got some
get
things.
rolling.
Yeah. We don't want to keep him as late as we normally keep ourselves. Which is 3 hours.
Not that I don't enjoy hanging out with you guys.
Ah.
I just I've got a friend in town, so
Ah, awesome. It's also very nice of you to claim that you like to hang out with us.
all right. I think I left a review on there.
Great. 1 star already.